Happy Columbus Day to all my uh, viewers. It's your boy Uncle Fred, and I had time to sit back and sleep on that debacle that we saw last night, and I came to a resolution. Many of y'all are not gonna like, but I want y'all to kind of just humor me and listen to the old boy and see what I'm saying and see if there's some validity to what I'm talking about. This thing that we built just might not be built right to get to where we're trying to get. And we'll talk about that in just a moment.
Two times on the beat, bitch.
What's good, people? It's your boy Uncle Fred back in the house, back in the saddle, one more again with some reflective content. Please like, comment, and subscribe and become a part of the Uncle Fred's sports experience. Guarantee you will not be disappointed. And as I said before, the Cowboys are like a story that, it's interesting. It's interesting. It's a lot of things. Definitely boring ain't one of them, right? Now I was thinking. I know we looking at that debacle that happened on yesterday. Cowboys go into Levi Stadium in Santa Clara and get boat raced by the 49ers. And it got me to thinking about things. And now let me say this. I'm an older individual. I know a lot of the now I talk with and engage with a lot of cowboy creators that are older. That are younger than me. They in their 30s, so they barely remember when the Cowboys were good. They definitely don't remember when the Cowboys were good in the 80s and the 70s now, which I was there and saw that stuff, right? So I'm going to ask y'all to kind of like listen to what the old boy is saying, and because I'm going to tell you something. There is no substitute for experience and having seen and watched and witnessed. There ain't no substitute for that. No amount of Google searches or anything can substitute for hand, eye, and experience, uh, bird's eye view experience or whatever. Being able to see something, being at something, and actually witnessing something. Okay, how many times you Google it? I remember when I was growing up. Now, your boy grew up in the 60s, but I didn't see a lot of the things that went on in the 60s and the skirmishes and stuff that went on in those days. But I could read about it. I read it in books. And I got older, you could Google it. You saw it in encyclopedias. But my parents saw that stuff. They witnessed that stuff. They had, eyeball experience on things. And so I couldn't argue with them about the way I saw it because I'm reading the stuff. They lived it. Two different experiences. So a lot of times these cowboy creators, I'm listening to them, they got a bigger platform than I got, whatever. I'm just a guy with few viewers here, there, and whatnot. But but I got some experience today. I don't care what you research, you can't um, uh, manufacture what I've seen, what I've witnessed. So what I'm gonna need you to do, instead of like, oh, no, we don't know what you're talking about, I'm gonna need you to sit down, get you a pen and a pad, and listen. And maybe you might think, oh, you get a little lost like this, you go want to jump out the window. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying sometimes certain things brings things into clarity that you didn't see before. And I'm coming to this conclusion. Maybe the way this thing is built is not built for ultimate the success that we're trying to get to. I go back I can remember like 30 years ago. We're talking about '93. Cowboys had just won their second Super Bowl, and were on their way to doing some unprecedented things. They had a young, very talented, one of the most talented rosters you want to see. And then you had depth. Of course, this was before free agency, so I don't know how long it could have kept it, but free agency kind of that's a thing that kind of you got to weave into that fabric too, because free agency you can't stockpile talent no more because you can only spend what you can spend. Everybody get the same pot of money to spend, so I get all that. So don't think I don't understand that particular thing, right? But there was a certain way that those Cowboys prior to '93, from the early '90s to '93, were ran, and it made it where success was easily achieved because you had structure and order, and there was a hierarchy to things, and there wasn't no overlapping of duties and responsibilities and things of that nature. Where you getting at, Uncle Fred? Well, I'm gonna tell you. So up until that time, Jerry Jones bought the team in '89, and then of course now, and I've listened to Mike Fisher. He's the guy that I listen to for a lot of the history stuff because he's been with the Cowboys for 33 years, and he's set up right across the street from them. He actually talks to Jerry and Steven and Will McClay, and he talks to those guys and the coaches and stuff like that, on a regular basis. So, I listen to him and stuff like that. So he was there when Jimmy and Jerry was there and stuff. But I understand this. His bread is buttered with Jerry. So when I listen to him, I have to listen to him with an understanding like, okay, he's going to go up to a point and not step over that threshold because he wants to keep all of his options open with Jerry because, Jerry's a powerful man in Dallas. He can talk to who he wants to, and he can cut off access to who he wants to too. He'll say some things, say some things about Jerry, how he talks and stuff like that and whatever. But it's only so far. He'll go right up to that line and then won't cross over. And see, I have no qualms about it. I'm not trying to get the interview with Jerry. I'm not trying to talk to him. I'm not trying to get his autograph. I'm not trying to do any of that stuff. I'm just trying to, one of my things I like talking about is the Cowboys, and I'll be critical where I need to be, and I'll be celebratory when it's necessary, right? But he always tries to make sure that Jerry gets the same amount of billing and credibility as Jimmy got. And I'm like, okay, that's because Jimmy still is the prevalent in that organization. He don't want to shortchange him because there's obviously a rift between them because Jerry won't put Jimmy in the Ring of Honor. That dude wants 2 Super Bowls, 2 in a row. That's only been done a handful of times in the NFL, and they was on their way to winning several more, right? But all these other people are put in the Ring of Honor. And I ain't gonna do it because he's like, no, I want to be done my way. Jimmy was doing it his way, and I want to assert my authority over this organization. See, when Jimmy ran it, and I know Jerry did his thing. Jerry was the money and the connections. Jimmy was the football expertise. Jerry was an oil man. He stopped playing football at Arkansas. He did various things, a salesman here, and he got into oil business. He was a oil tycoon. He was what you call a rigger. He was, one of those people that went around and a plunger. That's the word I was looking for. He was one of those people, right? And so he got back with Jimmy, who he was a teammate with on Arkansas. He actually won a mythical national championship in '64. They shared with Alabama in '64. And from that point, I don't think he actually did nothing related to football. But Jimmy went on and, got into coaching, went up the ladder, and they actually coached at, Oklahoma State, won some games, did some stuff, and honed his craft, and, the football expertise there. And then went on to Miami and took that program from under Howard Schellenberg and won a couple of national championships and set it up where they won some more after he left. Because he developed an eye for talent and an eye for organizational structure and these sorts of things. And so when you put those two together with Jerry's money and his wildcat and his, and you put that with Jimmy's football expertise, they made a wonderful team. Okay. And Jimmy ran an iron ship. Them dudes, he could spot a guy. That guy can't play. That guy can't play. That guy can't play. That guy can't play. That guy can play, but he gonna need help. And Jerry used that expertise and put his money behind it. And he, what he gonna say? He don't know football. He don't know who can play, who cannot. And they couldn't do it without each other. Okay, because Jimmy would just be a coach that knows personnel, but he ain't got no team to buy and whatever. And he'd be on the mercy of somebody to hire him. And Jerry would be just a rich dude, with money, but don't have no understanding of how to put a team together. So they needed each other, right? And so he let Jimmy do his thing, and he took the advice. And when Jimmy said a guy couldn't play, this guy need to be cut, this guy need to be removed, we need to make a trade with this guy, whatever. He did those things. And when that thing got up and running, and he saw how big this thing was getting, he decided, hey man, and maybe they mutually decided. Maybe Jimmy didn't like the way this thing was going, and he, maybe he's, and they mutually decided. I remember that day. It's like, hey, we mutually decided I will no longer be the coach of the Cowboys, and Jerry took over as the sole, and the whole climate of the thing changed. And I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what the players said. Troy Aikman said as much. He said it was different when Jimmy ran it. I love that structure that Jimmy had put on there. Guys knew exactly where they could get off, what they could do, what they couldn't get away with, what they could do, what they could not do. Jimmy didn't play. Okay, if a guy was sleeping in the film room, whatever, they cut their butts. Now, he wasn't cutting him, but them dudes weren't gonna do that. And he said, when they hired Barry Switzer, it was just different. It was just a whole different thing. It was like more of a laxed kind of thing. Guys was kind of like the guys policed themselves. And Jimmy wasn't walking around with a whip, whatever and stuff. And it was different. He said as much. Guys wasn't paying attention in the meetings and weren't, music going and everything. It was never that way with Jimmy. So it was a difference. It was it started to introduce the country club atmosphere that the Cowboys became. And they won that Super Bowl in 95. But make no mistake about it. They got lucky because they played the 49ers in 94 and got outclassed in the NFC Championship game. I know Michael Irvin got interfered with. I understand that. I get it. They make that call. They probably get a touchdown. They made it 38-35. It's 5-6 minutes to go. They probably could still, there's a chance they could win that game. But there's a reason why they was down 21-0 in the first quarter, because the attention to detail was not there, and it wasn't emphasized because Barry was not one of those kind of guys. Let the guys, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing better than I know. Jimmy wasn't having it. No, you button your tail up, and we're gonna get. He would never have allowed them guys to be raggedy. So they lost that game, and then they played them in the next year in the regular season and got worked because the 49ers were a detailed machine like they were last night. They were just as talented as them. And they worked them. I think it was like 38-14 or something like that. They wasn't even that close. And then it was all, and all I was thinking, I said, oh man, if we play them again in the NFC, it's going to be the same thing. Because they're just not as buttoned up. They're just not as detailed. They're not as on it as they were when Jimmy ran it. Okay? But they got lucky. The 49ers got upset by the Green Bay Packers. I remember that because I was there. We're talking about 1995. We're talking about 28 years ago, right? And the Green Bay Packers always had a schematic advantage over them. We were more physical against them. We could always beat them with our sheer physicality and the team was just better than them. And we ended up getting the Green Bay Packers in the NFC Championship game in Texas Stadium, and we whooped them and went on to the Super Bowl. We beat a Pittsburgh Steelers team that really wasn't ready to be there. Okay. We beat them, don't get me wrong. We'll take that Super Bowl too. But don't make no mistake about it. That team wasn't as buttoned up as the team was the year before and the year before that. They just weren't. And as the years went on, that team got lesser and lesser and lesser and lesser and lesser, And it started to become evident that more things became more important than football, okay? And so, let me get here to my captions. And so I'm starting thinking, man, we built this thing all wrong. And what started to become more prevalent is the notoriety, the pageantry, uh, and the marketing became more important than the football excellence and the fundamentals, and that became more important. Uh, I'm going to something that I know everybody knows me. Know I also roll with the Crimson Tide. I live in Alabama, so that's like my college team of choice and whatnot. But it goes to something I heard Nick Saban say about several months ago, and we was talking about we're talking about new things and how new things are done and are implemented and things like that, and we want to crap on the old way things are done. And I'll always push back on that. And I know that the way things are done now is more efficient, more quicker, and more, all this sorts of stuff. And there's advantages. You got more time and things to do things because you're not, I'm looking at a situation where you may, if you want to cut down a forest, you may have to take 100 dudes with axes and cut that forest down. Now you can do it with a couple of dudes with power saws. And can get the same thing done, but you lose the camaraderie and the teamwork and the fellowship that those 100 guys would bring in order to get that particular task done. And it might take them a couple of weeks to do that, which you could do in a couple of days. And I get all that, right? But there's sort of a way of crapping on the old way things are done and the old way people did things. And it's something Nick said when we were talking about the new way the college is done, college football. We got the NIL deals and the name, image, and likeness things. And we got the transfer portals and things of that nature. And it's always been said that he didn't like that kind of stuff, right? And he's like, well, no, I just think that people start focuses on the wrong thing. And he says, in order to be successful, it takes what it takes. And I think the same thing applies to every level of football and everything in life. It takes what it takes. If you're going to be successful, it takes the workmanship and the dedication and the work ethic that it takes. You can't expect to be a guy that beats other guys at whatever your mode of whatever is. You getting up at noon and the other dude's getting up at 5 a.m, jumping at you're not going to be as good as them. It takes what it takes. So, you got guys that want to, hey, man, rather than compete for get that position, 3 dudes compete for them, man, I'll just transfer to another school rather than working hard to see if I can push myself to be better than the 2 dudes in front of me. I'm just go to another school and let my mediocre talents go to a team that doesn't have the talent. I'll go there and don't get no better, but I start. It takes what it takes. And I don't care how much money you get in the NIL deals, you still got to, you really want to be worried about commercial opportunities or in your playbook? What you think is going to be more important? Because if you're a quarterback and you go 15 for 38 for 200 yards and 4 interceptions, them NIL deals going to dry up. You better be in your playbook. It takes what it takes. And the things that are important should be more important than the things that are not. The main thing needs to be the main thing. So Nick was saying it takes what it takes. And so sometimes people think today it's more important to be relevant and talked about than to be good. And I go to something Mike Fisher said. I mentioned him earlier, and he had this assessment. And I credit people when they say things, and I said, man, he hit the thing. This is one of the things we stepped right up to the line, but he dare not cross it because he still got to be able to interview Jerry, Stephen, Will, and all those kind of things, and whatever. But I appreciate his professionalism and his reporting excellence and stuff. But he said this. He said this is the thing that the Cowboys suffer from, and every now and then it rears its ugly head. He said the Cowboys have become a marketing conglomerate that also plays football. I'm going to let y'all marinate on that for a minute because I think, and he didn't say a whole lot more to that, but that speaks volumes because it's become more apparent that the marketing arm of the Cowboys is important, just as important or more important than actually what happens on the field. And when you have that, you get a situation where you would rather the team be good and then the marketing take care of itself. I'll give you an example. Cornerback Chidobe Awuzie used to play for the Cowboys, got drafted in, I think, 90, not 90, like 2017, 16, 17, somewhere in there. And he played his 4 or 5 years there, and the Cowboys chose not to exercise his option on him, and he went on to move to the Bengals. Well, he got to the Bengals in 21, ended up going to the Super Bowl. You know, they had that extra week, and the media's asking anything that moves questions, because you got to take up that time, that extra week, and talk to people, right? So they talked to Chidobe Awuzie, and of course the question came up: what's the difference in playing with the Bengals and playing with the Cowboys? And what he said spoke volumes. He didn't elaborate on that, but if you allow your mind to think, he said little, but it said volumes. He says here at Cincinnati, all the emphasis is all about football. And that's it. And that's all he said. Because what he's not saying is that when I was at Dallas, other things were just as important as the football. See, here it's all about the playbook. It's all about film preparations, all about all that stuff, all about, you know, the coordination with the teammates, putting the right game plan together, and being as prepared as we can be for the opponent that we play on a week-to-week basis. Here it's just as important to be talked about as it is to, you know, and that's been evident on many occasions. I also point to back in 2020, and we're getting ready to close this video because I got to vent, right? Go back to 2020, one of the worst seasons we've had. You know, we know Game 5, Dak gets hurt in New York, has a compound ankle fracture, and he's out for the rest of the season. Bring in Andy Dalton, and you know the defense is total garbage. Mike Nolan, one of Mike McCarthy's buddies, gave him a job when he was, you know, on the New Orleans Saints staff and whatever, and he felt the need to reciprocate. I get all that nepotism. That's in the NFL. But he gave him the job of defensive coordinator. And he was not good. Defense was historically terrible. Everybody was getting 200-yard rushing games on the Cowboys. It was almost like an Oprah show. You get a 200-yard rushing game. You get a 200-yard rushing game. You get a 200-yard rushing game. Teams that didn't even run the football were getting 200-yard rushing games. The guys was going through the motions, and we end up falling to like 3-8, right? Yeah, you never heard a peep from Jerry about you saying, okay, I'm disappointed how the team's going, but we'll keep plugging away. And never got the emphasis that he was mad or upset of how things was going, right? Even though as a fan, I'm like, this is just deplorable, right? And it wasn't until about game 11. And we end up, ironically enough, playing these same 49ers in a November or early December game. I can't remember which. But the Cowboys was 3-8, and I think the 49ers was like 2-8 or 2-9 or something, or 3-8 or something. We both had like similar records, right? And that game was scheduled for that Sunday night. And the NFL exercised their option in flexing that game between the Cowboys and the 49ers from a 7 o'clock in prime time on NBC to Fox at 12 o'clock. And Jerry was livid. And he should have been, but I never seen that level of passion when the Cowboys was 3-8 and they was giving up 200-yard games every week. I didn't see that level of irritability as, oh, you taking us off of prime time. Let you know what side of the bread is buttered in his mind. It's more important for eyeballs to see my team rather than what kind of product I'm putting on the field. I'm not upset about we 3-8 and our defense is a freaking sieve and letting everything run through it. I'm okay. I'm upset, but it's okay. It goes with the territory. Sometimes you up, sometimes you down, right? Oh, but they fooled around and took us off of prime time and put us at 12 o'clock, which that's the low slate of games. At least you'd be at the 3 o'clock game, 3:25 game. No, they put us at 12. They won that game, incidentally, over the 49ers. That's the last time we beat the 49ers, too. And Jerry was inconsolable because they took us off of prime time. And so things start to make sense. We all about the marketing, the idea of the Cowboys, rather than what we're putting on the field. And as long as we do that, man, it may be a long time before we see a Super Bowl, because you gotta you gotta do things the right way. It's a right way things are to be done. Like you building something, if you don't pay attention to, I don't care how good the lattices and the roof and the gable ends and stuff are decorative and the shutters and stuff. If you don't pay attention to the foundation, Bible even talks about, I don't want to get biblical on you guys, but Proverbs 14:12 says, there's a way that seems right unto man, but the end thereof leads to death or destruction, however you want to put that or whatever. But it seems right. And you can climb that ladder backwards on the backside if you like. And you can put as much money as you want to into putting it where you could climb backwards and do all the things you could do, right? But when the ladder's in the right way, it has that little ledge. You can put your tools up there. You ain't got to go back up and down the ladder to work. But if you climb it on backwards, that means you gotta, reach around, and you don't have all the time. But yeah, I wanna climb the ladder backwards, because and then I want to put all my efforts and my energies and money to put and climb it backwards. Why don't you just climb it on the side that it was intended to climb on? There's a way that a team is supposed to be built. Okay. And, there's always two ways things are done. Two families could have two things that happen to them. And one family does things the fundamental right way, and the other does the thing haphazardly. And when a crisis comes, the family A might not have the funds to do the thing that the crisis calls for, and family B was haphazard and don't have it. And it takes that crisis to bring things into focus. That, hey, you're not doing this thing right. And sometimes we play a game like we played last night, and you're playing a team with the same level of resources that we have. I don't think they're any better than us in terms of personnel. I think Dak and Brock Purdy, although he played better last night, I think they're comparable players. I don't think they're players you can just roll the ball out and, hey, man, go win us games. And, no, but they're guys, if you put the right thing, they can win games. I think our offensive line is better than theirs. I think our defense is as good as theirs. But it looked like they were more prepared for us than we were prepared for them. Because I don't hear nothing about them all during the week about talking about the game. They just prepared. And when the game time came, they was prepared to play. And sometimes when you bring those two things together, it takes a crisis that allows you to see where you come up short at in your preparation or how your fundamentals are built. It took a we putting those two teams together in a side-by-side comparison, and you see which team emphasis on the important things and what team emphasized the ancillary things, or the things that don't matter. See, one team was reading the game plan and reading the fine print, and the other team was just reading the headlines. The bold print. Okay, yeah, they run this. Okay, we're ready. The 49ers was like, no, let's read this. Let's see. Every time they run this formation, this is what these are the 5 different things they do. And let's study those 5 things. And then we run those things, they were ready for it. Because they put emphasis on the football, not the pageantry. I don't even know if Fred Warner was a freaking man last night. And he was everything that Michael was supposed to be. And I think Michael's a better player than him. But sometimes Michael gets distracted. He gets involved in the social media. He's talking. He's doing all that. And I love Micah. Sometimes Micah needs to shut the heck up, man, and get better. Figure out what they're doing to you and get in there, get in your playbook. It's not just about playing harder. It's about playing smarter, understanding what you need to do. I don't think Fred Warner has a podcast. I might have to check that. But you got to let the main thing be the main thing. Like I said, you can be how you build things. The Bible even talks about, you build a house on a solid foundation or build it on sand, and you would never know the difference until it started raining. You never know the difference in the 49ers until you play them. And you see with comparable talent, a team that's more prepared will beat the team that's less prepared, even though they're equally talented. Or you can beat lesser teams, even though they're prepared. They just don't have the manpower to beat you. But when you're playing the teams that got equal, superior, or equal to talent, and they're more prepared than you, they're going to beat you. So I look at this. We're getting ready to close. I want Cowboy fans to be knowledgeable when they look at things, and don't look at things like this. I want you to look at things from the panoramic view. Now, in the last 30 years, I can't tell you the amount of coaches that have come and gone. Players have come and gone. Coaches come and gone. Offensive and defensive coordinators have come and gone. And for the most part, the results on the field has been somewhat the same. We always get beat by teams that are comparable in talent to us. Always seem like they're more prepared than us. I've seen that for many years. And it tells me that we are not putting the emphasis on the right thing. We're putting the cart in front of the horse and expect to get that thing into town. And it's just not going to work that way. And that means you got to hire people that, and let them do their jobs. And don't interfere with them doing their job. Let them have total autonomy and letting them do what they need to do. From the ownership to the general managership to the coaching staff and the head coach and the coaching staff, and letting them do their jobs and don't interfere with them. Because the other organizations, that's how they run. And when you find an organization that has comparable talent as you or ran the right way, then you get what happened last night. You look totally unprepared, totally inefficient, totally incompetent against them because they emphasize the right things. And we seem to be marketing and promoting individualism, and they're promoting team, working together. One band, one sound. We're all together. And just like every player on the team has to stay in their lane and work their thing, not overshadow another player's position, because you'll run past that guy to get something, and the guy that you're trying to stop will just cut back inside of there where you were supposed to be and get where he should. Same thing with ownership, general managership, and coaching. They all got a lane. And when you cross into the other individual's lane, it overshadows where they're supposed to be and make them not as efficient, as authoritative as they should be. You compromise them. And in many ways, you emasculate them. I'm telling you, until we get a handle on things being built the way they're supposed to be built, and putting the right things in the right order that things are supposed to be put in, I got a feeling that it might be a long time before we experience a Super Bowl. And I don't care how good a team we put on the field. Because if you just stuffing money in your pocket and your pocket got a hole in it, I guess at some point, if you stuff enough money in there, it'll be okay to overcompensate for the money that's dribbling down your leg. But wouldn't it be just as important to just, fix the hole as opposed to stuffing more money in the hole? I'm just saying. And just an old man, I'm, in my 50s, and I've seen a bunch of things. And I maybe characterized as the guy that, he don't, evolve. Did we evolve from the old way, or did we dissolve into something else? Am I the guy that says, get off my lawn? Yeah, I might be. And I also believe a lot of things and how we used to do things ought not be thrown away. There's a lot of good things in how things used to be done. The patriarchy wasn't always wrong in all they did, because they built a lot of the things we enjoy today. But we throw rocks at them because they didn't get everything right. They're not perfect, because nobody's perfect. Sometimes you just got to do things the way they was intended to be built. And if you do that, I think you'll have success. Well, at the end of the day, I may just be an old man that's just talking. Now I know what the heck he's talking about. But like I said, I've seen a lot in my 50 plus years. I've seen a lot of things. And, I may be overreacting because we lost 42 to 10 last night to a team I thought we were comparable to, and we totally outclassed. And who knows, maybe next week everything may be forgotten and we beat the Chargers and we go on and win 6 or 7 games, 5, 6 of the next 7 games, and all may be righted. But it may also come a time we'll face another team on the same level as us, and we'll fall because we're not built the same way that they're built. Anyway, that's all I got. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Become a part of the Uncle Fred Sports Experience. Guarantee you will not be disappointed. Once again, I'm just an old Cowboy fan, and I love the Cowboys. But if you love the Cowboys, you love for them to be right. And only the small-minded folks blame the kids when they see them disruptive. I blame the parents. I look at what kind of household that they grew up in and what allowance were they allowed to do. That allowed them to talk back to their parents, steal or be selfish or be, curse in front of people or, be totally disruptive. I don't look at the kids. I look at their parents. So, and we all want what's best for the Cowboys. Like I said, it's all I got from Uncle Fred. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next video, maybe in the next couple of days. Catch you guys later.